right, Chazz, what's going on, man? How you feeling this evening?
I'm feeling good at yourself. How you feeling?
Well, I'm doing all right, man. I've been laying around a little bit, so I'm pretty much well rested and I'm ready to go. But I think it's important that we talk about this subject that we're going to be dealing with. So I might as well go ahead and let it go across the screen because it's important. And it says redefining celebration beyond the noise. So Chaz, why do we need to talk about celebration in and of itself?
Because number one, it's dangerous. There's nothing wrong with celebrating things. It's how we're celebrating them. We have a whole bunch of stuff to get into, but as far as we're doing a lot of alcohol, drugs, pills, which it's nothing wrong with celebrating, but it's like we go over and beyond, and that's the part where a lot of us start to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I think every culture has a celebration, if you will. There's a certain day or some event that we celebrate, but yet
Uh-huh.
on many instances, I think celebration has really lost its meaning because
Right.
celebration should mean more to us than what we're going to be talking about. Because tonight we're just going to focus on some of the faulty ways that people celebrate, and then we'll look at maybe next week how we should, or give some examples or advice as to how we should be celebrating because this has been going on far too long. And I think somebody needs to step in right now and talk about this. I really
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah, and my other question is this too, and maybe you could further elaborate on it. When did the whole liquor and stuff get brought in? Because I thought it used to be just celebration, being sober. But when did the liquor and stuff start coming in?
I think we have to go back to the early medieval days in Europe because
Okay.
when we were brought over here as the enslaved, we saw a lot of that because they brought their customs over here with their so-called holidays, and basically we saw how they celebrated. And then when the Emancipation Proclamation was issued and we were free on Juneteenth, we basically just repeated what we saw. Same with our language. We use vulgarity. We didn't bring all of that. We were taught that. We were really taught that. So I think we need to get going right now. And let's start off by letting you define a simple definition of celebration.
A special way of showing appreciation for something important.
Yeah, I think that's so basic, and I think that's where we should be operating from. By the way, those who are watching this broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time and 7 o'clock Eastern. But we definitely want to get back into celebration. It's a way of showing appreciation for something. And all of us at some point in time in our lives have celebrated. And yet we just looking at when we do celebrate, this is a special way that we show our appreciation or our honor for something important. Now, what we're going to do now is I'm going to let Chazz go ahead and take the lead as he normally does when we talk about faulty ways in which many of us celebrate. So if you're out there and you have a comment or something about a question, just please give us a call. Not so much call, but just write in the comment and we'll address that. So here we go, Chaz. Faulty ways in which many of us celebrate.
Excessive drinking, relying on alcohol to feel joy or mark an occasion. Now, once again, I literally just said that. Now, there's nothing I've never, especially in the Black community, there's really no functions or celebrations we can go to without Grey Goose, Hennessy, Ciroc. We can't do none of these things out there. Bud Light, Budweiser. We have to have these things. And in fact, if we go to these places for celebration and we see it's not any of that stuff there, we get angry and frustrated. We'll call the party whack. We'll call it lame.
Mhm.
We'll call it sorry. So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
we've been relying on this thing for so long, and we're dependent on it, brother. We're dependent on these things to get hype and to have joy. And like I said, once again, without it, we feel negative towards that party.
And here's a mindset that you're mentioning. Here's a mindset that has been basically curtailed to that. Because a lot of times as kids, we saw this when we grew up and then we repeated it ourselves. Because we're not saying that a person can't have a drink if they're going to celebrate, but we're talking about what is called excessive drinking, just guzzling and just going on, don't know when to stop, And I think we need to talk about this. So again, we're going
And
to go ahead, Jess.
And I was just gonna say, I've seen it all the time for our little kids in the family. Say, for example, our niece nephews have a birthday party. It started off for little Johnson's birthday party, But an hour or 2 hours in, it shifted for Little Johnson's birthday party to all the adults out there drinking and smoking and all that kind of stuff. So this kind of stuff, it has to stop. It
Yeah.
has to.
This is a mindset that has been warped. It really is. And we had talked about this earlier this week, and I definitely want to bring in some of our guests who want to say hi to us. But Chazz, I remember talking to you earlier this week about some of this. And I know we said that sometimes what they do now is they have a children's party, but they bring their alcohol and they keep it in the car. And then Fred keeps running back and forth to the car, and the kids don't understand because the kids, they say, why is he keep going to the car? And I told you, you know why he's going to the car.
Yeah.
He's going to the car to take a drink and to smoke, and he keeps coming back, and he keeps going back and forth from the car to the party, from the car to the party, and now he's sloppy drunk, you see, and the
Right.
party has lost its meaning because it wasn't for him to begin with. It was for the kids. But because this is all he knows, this is because all he does, he doesn't see any other way of partying because he's been brainwashed. He's so gullible. This is what we do, and I think somebody definitely has to call our attention on this.
Absolutely. And Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, Grand Day. We appreciate you, Ray. Sister Barbara Fires in here. She says, Hotep Kings. We appreciate her. Brother Ray Fires in here again. He says, Black folks do too much celebrating. Entertainment is voluntary, self-detainment.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that because I definitely want to continue these greetings, but we'll come back to that because he's saying something that we want to definitely highlight.
Okay. Sister Marie is in the building. She fires in here. She says, Hotep Brothers, we appreciate her. And Sister Barbara fires in behind her. She says, in Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's talking about Friday. You know how Friday is the day that we have designated, Friday and Saturday. But to be honest with you, some days now are no bigger than the other day. You just call something that we do, and we're going to go ahead and buy the booze. But Ray said Black folks do too much celebrating. Entertainment is voluntary, self-detainment. Would you agree with that?
That's what I want to elaborate on. Now, I don't want to sound like an old man where you can't have any fun. You got to be in your house watching TV and just not laughing or smiling or anything like that. But Brother Ray is right, and I'm seeing this more and more. I'm seeing so many parties, so many celebrations. Us Black people, we celebrate any and everything, and there is a time and a place for that. But Brother Ray is right. It's like every time you look around, there's something that we're celebrating at this economy in this state. What are we really celebrating? We still in a bad spot. We don't have that much cash. The white man is still oppressing us. So what is it that's really for us to be celebrating? So I want to say his comment is spot on.
Yeah, we've been hypnotized to think that we can always get together and buy something that's going to make us feel good. And like he says, we do too much of that. This is what many of us live for. You see, we don't know how to have a good time without bringing alcohol and excessive alcohol, and it's a detriment to us. And I think most of us should really sit back and say, why do we act like this? Well, a lot of it is because we've been conditioned and we choose to do this. So we always want to have something up to our mouths turned up or smoked up so that we can leave with a certain feeling. And celebration is not about a feeling, it's about honoring the moment. It's about looking at what we're getting together for. And we'll talk about why many of us don't even know what celebration is, because that's all we know. When we hear the word celebration, it goes back to Black folks doing too much celebrating, too much entertainment, because that's what we do.
And don't forget about, like I said, the two other ones that we do too. Well, a lot of people here, they starting to pop that Xanax and that Vicodin and all that. So that's in there too. I want to read Brother Ray's comment. He fires in here. He says, spending all that money celebrating. It's Friday, the weekend celebrations, etc.
Yeah, you told me, dude. You told me once before when we talked many years ago, and I never forget this. But there was a person who said that they basically live for the weekend. The OJ's had a song that says "Living for the Weekend." Well, this is true because Monday through Thursday we're humdrum, just run of the mill. Come Friday, we get a little money in our pockets, and we have to go do something. You see, that money burns a hole in our pocket, and before you know it, here we go, because we have been definitely altered in the mindset, and this is why it is the way it is.
Brother Ray fires in here again. He says, yes, the Black feels good moment junkies. He's spot on once again as always.
Yes, really.
Letter B, reckless spending, overspending on parties, gifts, or unnecessary things. Yeah, and there's once again, and I'm talking about the birthday parties for our little ones, our cousins, nephews, stuff like that. It's nothing wrong with bringing things to them, but I think we do it for attention, where we want to be known. Where Uncle Jeff, he brought Keon the biggest monster
Yeah.
truck, stuff like that. Trying to get more attention than what you really need, and then on top of that, some of it is unnecessary. These are all things, just for the most part, I would say, not all people, but most. We want to just be known or seen as people who brought this outlandish gift, so everybody could sit back and marvel. That's what I think that really goes to.
It really is, because what we have here is, we say reckless spending. We don't spend money in our communities. We don't spend money where we should. We don't spend money on our health, but we spend money on something to put in our system to alter the mindset. And so what you find is, you find people who basically are gutted. We're gutted out, because what we have done is we have exchanged something which is supposed to be so sacred, which is the holiday or whatever it is we're celebrating, for getting drunk or getting high, or just doing things that we shouldn't do. All these so-called holidays, you notice that these people make so much money off of us, and we still haven't caught on to it yet, because we are reckless in our spending. We, like you mentioned, we always want people to see that we brought the biggest gift. If you and I went to a party and you brought a gift that cost $25, and everybody say, "What did Chazz bring?" "Oh man, he brought a gift for $25. What did Ja bring?" "Man, Ja went out the right way." You know what I'm saying? He went ahead and went on threw that thing down like that. So now I'm happy. It's stuck out at the party, because everybody looking at me saying I'm the big winner, when I'm really the biggest fool.
Absolutely. Letter C, loud and disruptive behavior, equating celebration with noise which disturbs others. Exactly. And normally on these days, the police get called, because here's the thing: we have our little boom boxes or our stereos we bring to the party, or our little speakers that we bring to bump music. We don't know how to have it at a nice little mellow tone where we all just sit back listening. We have this thing blaring. We have it so loud to where the neighbors are in fact getting angry, because they're trying to get sleep. They're trying to go to work the next morning, and we're cussing loudly. Everything is just loud, and we're in the front yard with these muscle shirts on, trying to get these people to recognize us. And that's what this is about. So once again, it's nothing wrong with celebrating. It's just the loud celebrations that really are annoying.
Yeah, and that's disruptive behavior. It's like we're little kids. We always have to tear up something. I think about this past weekend or last week, when the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. Now, I know that people had fun, but if you look at some of the clips, you see people all in the streets. You have people stopping cars. You have people sloppy drunk. You have people tearing up things. You have people blowing up things. And yet, what does this have to do with celebration? What does that have to do with celebration, man? It doesn't.
I don't think it has anything to do with celebration, brother, but I think in this modern day and age, social media is so everywhere and all in our face. People do these things so they can get recognized and maybe get 1 million followers on social media. Now, once again, I'm not condoning their behavior, but I think, like you said, them blowing up stuff, running up on light poles and stuff like that, they're doing that so they can get some kind of following on social media, which is a bad way to go about it. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame.
I think right now, Chazz, I want to make a statement, and I don't care what people think about it, but to be honest with you, when it comes to celebrating and celebration, I think many of us have lost our minds. I don't think that we are sane, if that's the right word, but I don't think that we're sane enough to carry out something that is as innocent as celebrating. We always have to take it to the limit. See, we always have to go beyond. We always have to do something where, like you mentioned, we're being recognized, or we're the clown or the so-called life of the party. We always got to do something spectacular. And this is why people get hurt, like our uncles and our aunts, especially our uncles. They want to do something when they get full at parties or at celebrations, and they hurt themselves. And we think this is cute, but it's really stupid, man. It really is.
Yeah. And I was going to say real quick, and this is a serious topic now. When you go to these parties, let's say for beforehand, you know you're going to get messed up. You know you're going to get drunk. I would suggest, if you can, have somebody with you that's sober. Now, this does not make any sense. You go to a party, know you're going to get drunk, and you risk getting behind that wheel. Now, I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty high where these people are going to these parties, getting behind this wheel, and then they leave this party and they get in terrible car crashes, getting in terrible accidents, and they're harming themselves, and then they're laying up in the hospital. Now, some may say I'm taking it to the extreme, but these things are happening. So I would just suggest people have like an Uber driver or someone with them that's sober, so they can get home safe, because you don't want to be behind that wheel driving and stuff. I mean, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's a great application, and we'll probably talk about that more in the upcoming weeks as to what we can do, since we can't stop seeming to act a fool, a buffoon. Because what you find is you find people. You said that they hurt themselves, and that's true, but many of us hurt other people. See, we hit innocent people in these cars, and we damage people's property, and yet none of us like to have this kind of discussion, because we look at this as normal. Because when we say there's going to be a party, we already know BYOB, bring your own bottle, in some instances, and we just act like we have lost it, and we have to a certain degree. And my issue is with us as a people, because we have normalized this behavior. We have made this behavior normal when it's not normal. This is something that should be frowned upon. It should be rejected. It should be seen as repulsive. But what we do, we think it's cute. Oh, look at Chazz, man. Did y'all see Chazz the other day? Man, that boy was tore up. He was acting a fool. And everybody laughing, giving everybody high five and say, man, I can't wait till the next one. Well, see, you might not live to the next one, see. This is why people get killed, too. Because now, instead of me and you talking like we're talking now, we got the music blaring, and we're hollering, we're arguing, and you go to your car and get a gun because it's loud. I stepped on your shoes, and I don't even realize you come in, you pop a few people. It does, and I know this is extreme, but we're talking about extremism because that really happens in real life, but yet we're too scared and afraid to address it, because many people in our families, we definitely carry on this way.
Yeah, and I was going to say that too. You brought up a good point. Not all the time, but in the Black community, we can't really do anything without having a good time. Normally, when we go to a party, 9 times out of 10, it's over something very, very small and something minimal. We get in these altercations at these parties, like you said, stepping on someone's shoes, or someone gets drunk or high. They think that you're looking at their woman, and it never fails where a fight or scuffle breaks out. So, I mean, once again, these are things that are just all to be mindful about when you're attending these parties, because you don't want to, like I said, get yourself hurt going to these parties, engaging in some of this type of behavior.
I'm going to put up another comment, but we're in the belly of the beast. We're in the belly of the beast, but while we're in the belly of the beast, we should be trying to liberate ourselves. But instead of liberation, this is what we're doing. And Brother Ray has put it really simply, even though it's in a joking form, but this is what we're doing.
Brother Ray fires in here, and he says, living it up. Oh, yeah, Friday night.
Yeah, that was a song that we grew up with. Yeah, living it up. Oh, yeah, Friday night. I mean, this is the kind of song we look for. We look forward to that, man. I mean, playing that song with all that bass in that song and all that other stuff going on. But I think what I need to look at too, Chazz, is we're really not. Now, I know we are in a joking way. It says living it up. Oh, yeah, Friday night. But we're really dying. We're dying because we're damaging our livers, we're damaging our kidneys, we're damaging our brain cells. We're dying. We're dying it up. But in our minds, we really think that is a good time.
Brother Ray also fires in here again, and he says, I'm allergic to all pain meds except Tylenol and
is that gabapentin?
Gabapentin. I'm also allergic to
propylene or something.
Glycol, that is whiskey, wine, and beer, so I can't drink either. Well, that's good. Well, okay, let me read this one. He says, I stand accused of playing my music with the volume elevated because of me playing on many bands. I like my music elevated a bit, but I don't play music past 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. to respect my neighbors. I respect that. At least, Ray, you have enough courtesy to respect your neighbors and to know there's a shut off time and being what you call considerate of others. And here's the thing, and I'll add this in there. Even on the 4th of July, we pop all these fireworks now. I would say after a certain time, after 10, maybe 9, shut it down. But some of these dudes in these hoods, they just keep going 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and they still keep going. And then they have to call the cops out. But Brother Ray, I appreciate you, like you said, for being considerate of your elders and your neighbors, trying to let them get some sleep. So that's a good thing as well.
It really is, because one of the weeks, I think, whether it's next week or the week after, I'm sure we're going to talk about the so-called holidays in particular, so-called holidays that we do act foolish when it comes to celebrating. And what comes to my mind is New Year's, or so-called New Year's. It's first of all, it's not really New Year's, but that's the day that people drink, from probably 7 or 8, thinking that they're bringing in a New Year, singing the Old Lang Syne. Don't realize, man, that they're destroying so much with that custom, and then they're hugging and kissing at 12 o'clock saying, I'm glad to see the new year, when it's really not. But all we've done is given people our money and acted a fool on that night, because that's the night that it really comes out, because everybody wants to live to see another year. And it's like they don't realize they're taking their time and they're taking their life from the upcoming so-called year. But this is how we've been conditioned.
Brother Ray also says, I'm too old for parties.
Well, that's a good thing for him, but a lot of us aren't. He can say that, and I agree with him, but a lot of us are not too old for partying, because we don't always go out. But sometimes, man, we do it in our houses, see, and we can't put a stigma. We can't put a stigma, and we're not doing this, but we can't put a stigma on other people that go to places, because we always think of a party as going out. Well, sometimes we stay in, we stay in.
Right.
So It ain't a matter where you go, it's what you do. You know what I'm saying?
He also says, Josh said we are dying. He's got the emoji face. Yeah, we are. Well, we're putting all these substances in here. And then for the weed smokers, like I said, I'm not here to judge, but the weed smokers have it worse, because they thinking they getting all the strong exotic kush and all that. And half of the time it could be lace, and this stuff, they spraying all kind of stuff on it, and you don't know what you really are getting. So it's really a risk that you're taking in, and I don't take this as a joke. Some have gotten their minds messed up where they smoke weed laced with cocaine and didn't even know it. So you got to be mindful of all this stuff too, and then don't forget about people sipping Mickeys and stuff in people's drinks. It's all kind of stuff you got to worry about.
Come on, man, slipping a Mickey.
He also says, I don't party in my house either. I don't like crowds much. Okay.
Well, he's in the minority, because a lot of us do, and I know what he's saying.
Letter D, ignoring the meaning, celebrating without understanding, or valuing the purpose of the occasion. Yeah, like say, for example, like this so-called Christmas and all that kind of stuff. We don't really, or most people should know, but most people don't know the real meaning of Christmas, which it's not Jesus' birthday and all that. The point is, we don't have any understanding. We're just doing it just to do it. We're doing it just to be, have fun and have a good time. And the value of some of these things. Now, there's nothing wrong with, like people say on so-called Thanksgiving, they're getting together with their family. There's nothing wrong with getting together with your family. But when you're putting this holiday in front of it and you're saying you're doing it because when you really look at the details, this man killed thousands of people, and these people don't even know that. And this is what they're celebrating and don't even know it. So I think it is important to understand what you're celebrating.
Yeah, they don't care either, Chazz. You could show them how that was an extermination and it was a genocide, but they don't care. They want to have alcohol. They want to have food. They want to drink. And this is going to be a subject that we're going to take our time with, because we got to look at too, celebrating is not always about food, because we as an African-American people, that's all we think about is food. We don't look at Juneteenth and see what that means to us. We don't sit around and talk about how important that is. We talk about who made the greens. Somebody's potato salad wasn't as good as it was last year. Somebody needs to go back to the drawing board with the macaroni and cheese. The ham wasn't good. All this deaf food that we're ingesting is killing us, and we never know the meaning. And that's why our children, they repeat the same thing, because nobody sits them down and say to them, first of all, what are we doing this for? Let's talk about what this meaning should be. Let's talk about how we should honor this, how sacred this is. And I'm afraid that Juneteenth and every other so-called holiday that we have as African Americans, Black History Month, it's going to take a turn, if it hasn't already, for the worse. Meaning that instead of it being pure, because in its inception, it's pure, it's honest, but when we get a hold of it, we turn it into something that it shouldn't be, because now it's like, when I see you, the first thing I'm going to ask you at a celebration, did you bring it? And you're going to say, no, we'll go get it. So you're going to go to the liquor store and you're going to come back. You're going to come back with a keg of beer, and we're going to drink that. Then we're going to say, man, this party's getting good. Go get some more. And here we are, not understanding why we do it. And that's why we look forward to celebrating, many of us, because we know that's a time to get scut bucket drunk, as they used to say. back in the day.
Absolutely, man. Ray says, I'm going to be honest. I smoke weed, but it medically benefits me as a chronic pain sufferer. Okay.
Yeah, and we're talking about celebrating. I'm sure Brother Raymond ain't smoking that weed every day talking about he's celebrating. He's talking about the use is for medicinal purposes. See? Right. So we're not talking about that, but people don't look at it that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not talking about his type. I'm talking about for the ones who don't have anything wrong with these young dudes that are, like you said, 19, 20, who are just smoking it just to smoke it just so they can feel something. Yeah, so that's not a shot at Ray. That's for the other people who are abusing it, basically.
And tonight's subject is redefining celebration beyond the noise. Because I'm telling you now, Chazz, we don't know the meaning of celebration. We say we do, but we don't. Because it's evident, because every time there's something that happens, it's the same storyline. Go get some alcohol, go get some liquor, go get some dope, bring a lot of food, cook a lot of food, get some loud music, talk real loud, use vulgarity. This is a learned behavior, but this is something that we have to talk about this, because this is really going on.
Letter E, overindulgence in food, eating or wasting food excessively instead of enjoying it mindfully. Yeah, sometimes we like they said, they rather have too much than not have any at all. So sometimes we go to these parties and we know that all this food is not going to be eaten. We know that, but we do it because we're being greedy dogs. We want to get real high, get real drunk, so that way we can lead a party with plates stacked on top of plates to go home and then smoke some more, eat some more. So we're just doing this stuff, like I said, for it's a thing that we've been doing for so many years, and we're doing it because we can't stop doing it, basically. And like you said, the overindulgence in food, I've seen it, and a lot of the families get angry at this. When we have a party, it's over, and instead of taking 1 or 2 plates home, and you know how some relatives are. They are stacking 6, 7, 8 plates. And it's like, that's too much. But they walking out with that stuff. So you know that's excessive. But that's just the way we are in the Black community.
There's a word for that. And that word is called gluttony. That's exactly what it is.
Right.
Gluttonous pigs, gluttonous hogs. But going back to the subject at hand, we're talking about we need to redefine celebration. Because in the African American community, my indictment upon all of us, not just the people who do it, but all of us, my indictment is this. Whenever there's a so-called celebrating moment, we always include food. We've never had a celebration where there's no food involved. Just eat at home. Let's come together. And then we call it a tradition, but it's really not a tradition. It's people getting together to fix their stomachs and to fix their mouths and faces with as much food as they can, to see who can put a little twang in their greens, to see whose potato salad, as I said earlier, whose dressing is better than it was last year. And so we lose the meaning, and these kids that show up, they end up leaving this so-called celebration, not realizing that what we have done is a total disaster. It is a disaster. And none of us old heads, talking about myself, none of us old heads have the guts. We don't have the courage to stick up and say, hold on for a second. This is what this means. It's not about the food. And this is why we've all gotten drawn into this thing. We've gotten sucked into this thing. And this is how we all have gone in this vortex. this vortex of wastefulness, this vortex of eating like there is no tomorrow. And so that's why we have to redefine celebration. Is not about food, but you can't tell us African Americans that. They will kill you if you say, let's have a celebration and it doesn't involve food and it doesn't involve alcohol, if it doesn't involve loud music with vulgarity and profanity. This is what we're dealing with, Chazz. It really is. And it kind of, it makes you sick, man. It makes you sick to your stomach. And so that's where we are with that now.
Yeah. Brother Ray Fire's in here. He says, when Colin Kaepernick was riding the 49ers bench, I stopped watching NFL over how the NFL was reacting to it and the NBA for bringing zero tolerance first. I haven't watched, I haven't watched either one in 10 years now. And then he also says, I don't mind ending entertainment and celebrations. My spirit is free. And then he also says, I wouldn't smoke marijuana around my grandchildren at family gatherings. I do that alone. And then he says, eat and be merry. Now, I would say at least he has enough respect and dignity not to do it in front of those kids, because I know for the most part, most adults that have children or who have nephews and nieces and stuff like that, I used to think that they had enough respect for them to say, you know what, go in the back or, go outside. I'm getting ready to do something. These dudes now, they don't care. They're getting high in front of these little kids. They getting drunk in front of these little kids. So at least Ray has enough respect to, like he said, not do it in front of them. And in fact, that's a wonderful thing because it doesn't give them the wrong idea to where these little kids see us doing that. So now they grow up and start emulating that behavior.
And that's what I was going to say about what you said at the end. I want to bake this cake a little more, because what you said is a mouthful about these kids emulating our behavior. Because when they grow up, they know nothing about the reasoning for why we celebrate. But instead of us teaching them about the reasoning and how we should honor, how we should have some type of sacred days and talk about the meaning on how to be better people, what our ancestors did to create this day, how it affects us as a community, they hear us cursing, they hear us talking loud, they hear us fighting, they hear us arguing, and people can say all they want to. It's not always like that at every party, but for the most part, at a big event, it is like that. So quit lying to yourself. It is like that. And this is why these kids grow up, and what do? They repeat the very thing that they saw. So when it's time for them to say, let's have a party, it's always BYOB in many instances, or come to a place and let's get, as I mentioned earlier, scut bucket drunk, and let's see who can outdrink the next person. You're Chazz, you had 5 of them things. I'm finna, man, you ain't doing anything. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot down 6 of them. Oh man, Ja good, man. Ja had 6 of them. Chazz couldn't hang. See, that's not anything to be bragging about, see? But that's what our celebrations are about. And us adults, again, I say I have an indictment on us adults, because we don't ever take time out to say, hold on, y'all, let's cut this stuff out. Let's talk about why we're getting together. Let's bring meaning to that. We're a part of the problem, but we don't want to own up to it because we're too busy in the kitchen cooking, trying to outdo our next relative to bring that plate so people can say, oh man, they sure did throw down this time.
Letter F. Materialism over connection, focusing on things rather than meaningful moments with people. Yeah, I would say materialism has really gotten a hold of this society. That is really being put at the forefront. It's really the end all be all. We're not caring about relationships or, spending time with our loved ones and stuff like that. And here's the thing, even though I don't agree with it, I don't agree with Christmas, but I'm just going to use that for this talking point right here. We don't really care, 90% of us, about the relative that brought us the gift. We just want to see what the gift is. And if the gift is what we call lousy, or if it's weak, or if it's not that expensive, we may not do it in front of the relative's face, but when we leave or go home, we're going to say, you know what, Aunt Susie, she only bought me a $10 gift card or whatever. She is so cheap. Stuff like that instead of the actual. Now, once again, I don't believe in Christmas. I'm just saying, using that for this talking point to where instead of having that bond and that relationship, get to know your Aunt Susie, you haven't seen her in a while, you use her $10 gift that she gave you, and you'll slam her for that instead of the actual relationship. So that's basically what I was getting at on this talking point.
And I definitely too want to join in on that because you open the door for what I'm about to say, and that is when we celebrate and get together, we don't remember what's important. Because if you ask a person that next week or that next month or the next year, what do you remember about the meaningful moments with people? You don't remember what you talked about. You don't remember who you talked to, but you do remember how many drinks you had. You do remember how much food you ate. You do remember who you had to cuss out. You do remember who you had to fight. You do remember all the things that happened that were unaffiliated with true celebration. So I think that that was well said because we don't know how to focus on meaningful moments. You know, we should take away from moments because we get together so often. There should be moments that we cherish, but instead of us cherishing moments, we always leave thinking about how much we consumed, whether it be food, whether it be alcohol, whether it be dope, whatever it may be. And that's what I'm saying tonight, because this is a heavy subject, Chaz, but somebody has to do it. And I'm glad that you're man enough to sit with me to say, let's draw attention to this, because we're going to give application in the upcoming weeks as to what we can do instead of this, because everything is always about drinking and partying with us. It's never about celebrating the way our ancestors celebrated, who knew how to celebrate, because they couldn't celebrate the way that we do now. And we've turned this thing into a mockery.
Yeah, we really have. That was well said. Brother Ray fires in here again. He says, I don't celebrate Christmas or any other holiday. I'm the only one in my family who is that way. I don't do any holidays at all. And then he also says, my life is still meaningful and satisfying. I'll touch up on that last comment he made, and that's good. Now, I'm not here to slam or to shame anyone who celebrates Christmas, Thanksgiving, Valentine's, and all those things. But Brother Ray touched up on a good point. He's saying that he doesn't celebrate it. Neither do I. I'm just saying that when you really look at the root of most of those holidays, you'll see how wicked and evil it is, and you should stay away from it. And for Ray to have the courage to not celebrate those holidays, I give him credit for that. Because it takes courage. I mean, you see these commercials. You see it at your job. You see it at the grocery store, the mall. You see all these holidays everywhere. And to resist that and to go against the status quo, you got to be pretty strong to go against that. So that's good for Brother Ray.
Yeah, and Ray is in a different category because most people are not like that. So he can say all he wants, and I'm agreeing with him. So I'm not saying this to belittle his comment, and I agree with him 100%. But I'm saying this. He can say all he wants about what he doesn't do. But unfortunately, in the United States of America, he's in the minority. You're in the minority. I'm in the minority. There are very many people out of 350 million people in the United States of America. Most of us don't say what he says. And we can look at our religion, which I don't like to always talk about because some people say we always bring it up. But the reason I bring it up is because I'm showing the hypocrisy, because many of us so-called believers in whatever we believe in, we know better, but we're the main culprits. We're the main drinkers. We're the main partiers. We're the main smokers. We're the main people that are gluttonous when it comes to the food, you see. We're the main ones who's always got a mindset that have been so distorted. We're the ones who don't focus on meaningful moments with people. We're focusing, as I said earlier. Can you believe that we have a celebration that's supposed to be a beautiful moment with our family, talking about something that we're gathering for, and we end up arguing because somebody's greens were not good as to someone's liking, and then someone says, well, you're talking about my mother because she made the greens, and then they say, well, your mother last year, her macaroni, and so here we're arguing, man. We're arguing over something as stupid as some freaking food, man, over some food. And we sit back and we're encouraging because you're with the one camp, I'm with the other camp, and I'm saying, yeah, those Aunt Sally sure was right. Those so it lose its meaning. And I'm saying that as a people, when are we going to stop this, Chaz? When are we going to stop acting like little kids? I'm talking about the adults who go to these celebrations and have forgotten the meaning as to what we should do because no one wants to teach on it.
It's going to take a lot. You're going to have to reprogram your mind. All these holidays, all the way how we celebrate and how we react to these holidays. It's going to take a lot. And I would say you have to want it first. We can't force this on you. We can't make you do it. This is something within that a person has to say, you know what? I'm tired of celebrating these holidays. I want something new. and I'm going to turn my behavior around. But once again, it's up to that person. Brother Ray Fires in here again. He says, everybody got to do a live on Facebook with their drinks and showing their mixed drink on Facebook Lives. I'm tired. Well, I find that kind of boring. Yeah, that's a lot of these new youngsters that's doing that. Because like I said, back in 2002, 2003, I really didn't see that, and social media wasn't as popular as it is now. So I've seen those videos too, Ray, with these young cats on here with their drinks and stuff. So I think that's something where these new young guys and young girls are doing now. Letter G, destructive actions, vandalism, violence, reckless behavior in the name of a celebration. Now, we talked about this earlier. Now, you touch upon it, and I'll piggyback it. I forget the year. There's a hockey team called Vancouver Canucks. They won the title. Now, instead of their fans just being happy, going home, going to bed, or maybe, clapping or whatever, these dudes are doing like those Philly fans. They were destroying light poles, burning up cars, tearing up the streets. The cops had to be called. When the cops were called, they were already under the influence. So some of the youngsters was giving the cops heat. So it's just, they didn't know how to celebrate and be happy without tearing up stuff. I would almost say that people who do this is borderline demonic. Because what man or woman in their right mind would want to tear up something? No matter how hype you are, no matter how fired up you are, you should not, and I repeat, you should not want to go out and tear up something, no matter what the team did or what have you. I think it's just something that's just, like I said, I think it's almost borderline demonic.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that because I know we give examples of sports and how people get, messed up with sports and become very, very violent. But, my thing is this, let's just say this is not a sporting event because we know it happens there. But every time something seems to happen as far as a celebration, something gets destroyed. If you have it in the house, somebody's TV is going to get broken, whether two guys got to fighting over whatever, or somebody tripped and in their drunken stupor, they fell into something and broke something, or they dropped something. Something always has to get destroyed. And that's what I'm trying to say. We always have to have some kind of behavior in the name of celebration. And, they say, well, why did he destroy grandma's lamp for 50 years? Well, he destroyed grandma's lamp because he was an idiot, you see. But instead of us saying what he was, we try to cape for him and say, well, that was in the name of whatever the holiday is or whatever celebration. That was so-and-so's birthday, and he just messed up and he should not have been that messed up that he couldn't walk, and he broke something that was really kept in the family for all these years. And instead of us saying to him, you're not going to come here with that behavior. We're not going to accept you to come back with that. We always look forward for him coming back next year because we say it ain't no party if Uncle so-and-so doesn't show up. It ain't no party if Aunt so-and-so doesn't show up. So here, this clownish behavior, this asinine behavior is what we look forward to because celebrations have lost their meaning. And I cannot wait till next week when we talk about certain days that we celebrate and what we do on those days. And then also the application as to those of us who want to say, I want to do better because I'll be doing this myself when we celebrate, and how we can kind of help them, Chazz. So I think that's really something really good.
Brother Ray Fires in here, he says, I don't even gather on holidays to make sure all knows I don't celebrate that holiday. You go gather to eat and drink with them, then they say you didn't celebrate holidays. Okay, and like we said earlier, Ray, that's good. You're a minority. That's rare. That's a good thing. Like, you're not celebrating these holidays. You're aware of them, and you're just saying that you're distancing yourself. And I'm pretty sure you have love for your relatives and stuff like that. You just choose to separate for those holidays because, once again, for the most part, they're pagan, they're evil rooted, and on top of that, it's just a way to get the consumer to spend more money that we necessarily don't really have. So that's a good thing that you're doing. I appreciate it.
And I want to say this, when it comes to, now this is a point that'll be made again, maybe within the next few weeks, because I just want to comb it right now. I'm just going to comb it and leave it alone. But sometimes it's a shame and a disgrace how we don't even see many of our loved ones unless it's a celebration. If it's no food, if it's no booze, if it's no alcohol, if it's no liquor, if it's no food and all of that, we don't see them. And the only time we know we're going to see them is if we got to have a party. Because if it's not a party, you're not going to see them because they live for it. And I got to be honest, Chazz, when a
Okay.
person is in their teens or their 20s, I'm going to say 30s. I'm going to stop at the 30s.
Okay.
That behavior is something that hopefully people are working through. But when you turn 40, when you turn 50, when I turn 60, when you turn 70, when I turn 80, and we're still doing this kind of stuff, Chazz,
Yeah.
this is problematic. And again, who's sounding the alarm? Who's ringing the bell, Chazz? Who's hitting on something saying, hey, we got to stop this? Who's doing that? No one, because we're all a part of this conspiracy that we like to talk about. We're a part of this conspiracy. And that's why, as a people, I think we got to have more broadcasts to say celebration is one thing. But what we have done is we've taken this thing too far in the name of celebration.
Absolutely. Letter H. Short-term pleasure, long-term regret. Engaging in activities that feel good in the moment but lead to problems later. And that's, excuse me, that could be well said. I've said this earlier, especially when you go to these parties or holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and all that, which you can do. And you go there, like you said, you say you're going to have a couple drinks, you're going to have a couple blunts, you're going to have a couple Xanax pills, and you say that for a little bit, and then it gets higher and higher, and you start drinking more, you start smoking more, you start just ramping it up. And then, like I said, it gets worse because when you leave, 90% of the time, you get in an accident, the police pulls you over. Sometimes you so hyped and fired up and drunk, when the police pulls you over, you start giving them back talk. So now you got another problem, and then you go home with a black eye because those cops aren't having that. They can smell the alcohol on your breath. So these are what we say short-term pleasure. You went there to feel good for a little bit, but you regretted it later. You went to the car, tried to leave, you fell and cracked your wrist. All kind of stuff, man. So I mean that's pretty much all I had for that one.
That was beautiful right there. That was beautiful because I want to just add to that too, because sometimes when we say things, we regret what we say, Chazz. You know, and they say when a person gets intoxicated, they speak what's on their mind. So whenever people get together and we're doing some things that we shouldn't do and we overindulge in them, we say things and then we regret it later on. We say some of the things that you cannot believe what people, I'm talking about, listen, I'm not talking about you and me talking to each other that way. I'm saying people talking to their mother, people talking to their father, spouses talking to each other, girlfriend talking to boyfriend, sisters and sisters talking against each other, brothers talking to each other, cousins, friends. We say some of the things that we shouldn't say, but we only say it because we're full, see? And then we sit back and then they say, Jahi, you said some stuff to your cousin that you should have been ashamed of yourself. And I say, I did. Yeah, you know what you said. You know what you said. And then we call them and say, you know what? Old cuz was just full, you know, just charge that up, you know, to me being messed up, you know. And then people give me an excuse for that. When, again, Chazz, I keep asking this rhetorical question. I know the answer. But I keep asking this question. When are we going to sound the alarm and say, this is a crisis, man? Yeah. This is a crisis. And people don't want to comment about it. They have relatives. They have friends. We have coworkers. We have family members. You know, we even have enemies that do this. Some of my friends died at a party. They died at a party because they knew that they did some things at that time that cost them their lives, you know, by getting intoxicated and trying to walk across railroad tracks, getting intoxicated, fighting, and then when the person he got hit in the face, their head fell on one of the curbs and it knocked them out unconscious to where they basically their brain was in a hemorrhaging situation where they bled to death internally. When are we going to start talking like this, Chazz? When are we going to stop throwing softballs? When are we going to stop making excuses for these people? When are we going to stop being silent in our sins? This is a nonsensical situation that we have today, but yet this is where most of us are.
Brother Ray chimes in here. He says, I do believe in having a good time with family and friends. I'll get with one or two family members or friends and have a good time with them. And because I feel like it, I just enjoy them to add to the good memories, but not with the crowd thing and every week or weekend thing. I'm spontaneous. Well, that's good. And that's good. See, and that's the thing. we don't, and I'm not saying this at Ray, I'm just saying in general, we don't need to be going out every weekend celebrating, giving our money away to these clubs and these club owners. It's really nonsense. And like you said, he does still gets with his family every now and then, but it's not a every weekend thing. And like I said, I'm starting to see all over social media, a lot of these clubs are starting to get closed down because people, they're just not going there no more. And like you said earlier, maybe the clubs are inside their homes now where people feel like they don't have to spend money. They'd rather just get drunk and stuff inside their homes and just, take it on a light note. Sister Sharon fires in here. She says, so sorry, family. Hope all is well. It's okay, Sister Sharon. You can watch it on the playback once this video is concluded.
Yeah, because we're talking about tonight redefining celebration. Why do we as a people always look at celebration with drinking, partying, smoking, talking loud, fighting, cursing, eating, and we can go on and on, new clothes to see showing up because I got a new outfit and I want everybody to comment on my outfit because it's a celebration. This is what we do, and we're saying we've got to stop this, man. We really do.
Absolutely. Letter I. Turning celebrations into a competition. Try to outdo others with bigger celebrations or flashy events instead of focusing on the meeting. Yeah, and that happens a lot too, where we go to these celebrations for a birthday party, and like you just mentioned, we have on some nice clothes. One of our other little cousins may say, oh, that's the new J's. I didn't know you had those. So the next time you see him, he goes out and tries to pre-order those J's to beat you to the punch or stuff like that. It's always a competition or how much chicken wings you can eat. Instead of just saying, you know what, I'm going to have a good time with my relatives. I haven't seen them in a long time. We're going to have a good time and just live it up and have a good one. It's always some kind of competition. And here's the thing about it. Nobody wins at the end. No matter what. Nobody, like somebody said a long time ago, nobody really won. So I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's so true, Chaz, because I'm laughing because I remember the time when I was very, very ignorant. And I used to tell this friend of mine when we would have a celebration, I'm going to eat you under the table, meaning I'm going to eat more food. I'm going to eat 25 tacos, and he only ate 15. And everybody said, boy, Josh threw down. That was stupid. That was ridiculous. It was absurd. But yet, this is what we do. Then you have the other people who say, I'm not going to come to Chazz's little celebration because he only got 4 or 5 people. But I'm going to go to Josh's celebration because he's known to have 50 to 100 of them people over there. And they see, John and them know how to do it right. Chazz, they just going to sit around and maybe talk a little bit and go home. But with Josh, oh, man, he going to have all that booze there, man. I'm going to get full over there. Chazz doesn't have all of that.
And I was gonna say, I remember that. I think I was a little kid. You and I think he passed away, Mr. Matthew. Y'all had this thing where every week you would eat tacos.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And it shows my ignorance. It shows my ignorance. That's why I like this broadcast because we're included too. You see, but most of us hide behind these cell phones and we look at this stuff, and that's all good. But we turn it into a competition, trying to outdo somebody. So if I see you come to a function with a nice dude or something, I'm gonna go get my hair done. And, I'm gonna
right.
And when you step in there, they're gonna say, "Man, look at Chazz." I'm gonna say, "What he got on?" They're gonna say, "Man, he got on that red." I'm gonna be like, "Okay." So I'm gonna fall out in all that purple. See, they're gonna say, "Man, John, you and Chazz are good, but John, you outdone Chazz." And now everybody's saying what we have on, and our celebration has lost its meaning because now they've turned it into a fashion show. See, and it's not about all of that.
And I was gonna say, how did you and Mr. Matthew keep that up for all those? Because that wasn't just the one. That was like a weekend.
That was, and that was my ignorance. That was my foolishness. I was very bombastic at that time, and I'm telling you now, Chazz, I'm so glad that I'm growing. You see. But at that time, that goes with a mindset. So we should be asking other people too. Why do we always try to outdrink the other person? I mean, people will tell you before they come to the party. If you and I coming to the party next week and it's a so-called celebration, instead of talking about Juneteenth, I'm going to tell you when I see you in the store, what you going to do next week? Man, Ja, I'm going to that party. I'm going to say, man, I'm going to drink you under the table. You're going to say, man, I don't think so. So here we are. We're premeditating who's going to drink the most. This is absurd and ridiculous.
Letter J, celebrating to impress others, trying to make someone admire or respect you because of what you do when you celebrate. Yeah, and I think it's kind of like this tough guy act. Like you said, I think some people think that if you could drink, a keg or drink a whole bunch, that makes, to some people, we try to throw that off and say that, well, I'm tough because I can, smoke all this and drink all this and still handle myself. And to some people, they may think, yeah, he must be tough if he can handle all that without getting any wrecks or accidents. And that's not the way that we should be going about it. And I'm starting to believe that it's a tough guy image that we're trying to put out there.
Yeah, really. But it's a small guy in our heart because that's killing us.
Sister Sharon says, we really do. Did you have any comments? Oh, let me read Brother Ray. She says, friends don't compete. Frenemies compete. Absolutely.
He said it again.
Did that.
Yeah, okay. So, but yeah, what I'm trying to get back to is this is a good conversation. It's about time for us to stop, Chaz. So I want to bring this back next week because we need to continue to talk about this. We just touched the surface. We haven't talked about, now we'll save that last week that we do this broadcast about redefining celebration. We're going to talk about ways we can celebrate without all the stuff we're talking about tonight. But I think that's going to be important because we also have to look at who taught us this. Why do we think the way we think? Why do our women try to outcook the other woman knowing that everybody's supposed to bring something? And why do we not talk about the meanings? Why do we've celebrated these holidays for so many years? Why don't the children know more about these holidays? Why is it just in name only? So these are some of the discussions that we must have, Chaz, because I think many of us have lost the meaning on why we get together and why it's so important. And I think it's crucial, man. It's very crucial.
Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, a celebration, shallow reputation, and prestige.
Yeah, we want to be seen. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. If I say to you, Chaz, what are you going to do on a celebration next month? You're going to say, man, I'm just going to celebrate my big mama's birthday. She's gone, but we're just going to sit around and talk about the memories that she left for us, me and the kids. We're going to sit around and talk about that. And then I'm going to say, that's all? You're going to say, yep. And I'm going to say, man, please. We're gonna do it right, man. We're gonna have all that yak on the counter. We're gonna have all that dope on the counter. So it's like whatever you want, you can come to my crib because I get it, Chaz. And we make excuses. I understand what you're doing. Now you're doing it the right way. But see, you ain't like me. You ain't like me, Chaz. See, you've always been that kind of guy. You want to just do it so you honoring Big Mama. But see, I'm gonna show Big Mama, the way it's supposed to be done, you see, because all these, this is dumb. It's really dumb. But this is what's going on, man.
Sister Sharon Fires in here. She says, sometimes I think lonely for celebrations sometimes. No attention.
She doesn't want attention, man. She wants to honor the day. She wants to commemorate the moment, which we're going to talk about too, Chaz, next week. Let's talk about what are these days supposed to mean? We're not talking about all these stupid days, but we're talking about the days that we get together. We got to understand what is the meaning behind this day? Why are we getting together in the first place? So, I mean, what is the meaning for us getting together, talking about how our ancestors spent their lives trying to free and help us become better people? What does Juneteenth mean to us? What does this month mean to us? Black history.
I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say real quick, we forgot to mention our birthdays. If we are available and we're alive to make it another year, on our birthdays, bruh, for the most part, that is the word.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Why are we not teaching this? Why do we act this way? You see, these questions must be answered. Whether you want to hear it or not, whether I want to hear it or not, whether you want to talk about it or not. We've got to talk about these days because these are the things that have destroyed us. And it's continuing to destroy us. But again, unfortunately, many of us don't care because we're so wrapped up in this thing, see? We always want something out of the deal. It's got to be something that we can get that's going to make us feel good because of our low self-esteem, see? We're not committed to ourselves. We're not committed to anything, man. So again, I think we need to really, really act our age and not our shoe size.
Brother Ray Fires here. He says, liquor and dope on the counter. You are right. Yeah, that is true. She says, be blessed that you're still here. Yeah. Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, I enjoy self-discipline. Self-love is from self-discipline. All well comments. And like you said, Brother Ray, you have to have self-discipline, and you can have discipline with drinking, which I don't condone. But if you're gonna drink, have you one beer and go home. If you're gonna smoke, do one blunt and go home. But don't overdo it, because when you overdo it, that's when the problems come. And here's the thing, brother. I think it's hard for us to tell people to stop cold turkey. I think the easiest thing we could try to do is try to get them to minimize the damage by not drinking or smoking it or popping as many pills. Just do a minimal, a sample of it.
Yeah, if you've enjoyed this broadcast tonight, and I really have, I hope that you come back tomorrow. This is a serious discussion. Yes, a lot of it is humorous, because that's how we act like clowns sometimes. We act like jesters sometimes when we talk about celebrating. So we want you to come back, give us your comment, and let us know, because we just touched the surface tonight. We're going to get more into this because, as I said earlier, someone has to talk about why we act the way we act, and all in the name of a celebration. That's not really celebrating. Let's call it what it is. It's eating as much as we can. It's pigging out. It's trying to outdo someone. It's getting as drunk as a skunk. It's getting as high as a kite. It's showing off our clothes. It's not teaching our children. It's not honoring our ancestors. We've got to have this kind of discussion. And as adults only should be leading this discussion. And we have to be honest about why it is the way it is. So we'll do these last comments and we'll get out of here, Chazz, because I'm being honest tonight, and so are you. We have a problem. We have a problem, Houston, and it's been going on for far too long. The only thing is, a lot of us don't like to talk about it because we're a part of it. Whether we're cooking, because our mindset is on food. That's a lot of our sisters. They just all about the food. They don't care about the day. They want you to taste those. They want you to taste those beans. They want you to taste those black eyed peas. They want you to taste that cornbread. They want you to taste all the food that they putting in. And then a lot of people don't care about the food. They want to get drunk. It's like, what are we coming there for? What are we really doing? So I'll let you read these last comments, man, and then we'll get out of here. We want you all to come back next week at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. This is crucial that we continue to talk about issues that's going to help free us and liberate us. Then that following week, we'll talk about application. What can we do as a people when we call ourselves celebrating that's not going to bring pain and grief and all of that to our lives?
Sister Sharon Fires in here. She says, "So sorry, family. Hope all is well." Okay. And then Brother Ray Fires back in here. He says, "Love y'all much. Appreciate it. Love you too, Brother Ray. Everybody." Sister Barbara, she says, "Good vibes, y'all. Appreciate her." And
okay,
everybody who's tuned in.
So you have any final words to say? Because we're finna get out of here if you're not.
Yeah, just real quick. It was a good topic. We appreciate all the viewers, but it was serious. Celebrating on a serious note on how to minimize the drinking, minimize the smoking, and not always showing up to put on a show. Just go up to the celebration. Don't try to, like I said, smoke or drink as much, and get home safely, because your life is at stake. It really is. And it could be the snap of a finger and you're gone because you overindulged in way, way too much. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this broadcast. Well, hope to see you back next week. Take care, everybody.